Trustees for Thursday, September 20th, 2018. First of all, Mr. Bill Bingham is ill and is not going to be able to be with us tonight. He sends his regrets, and we wish him a speedy recovery. Ms. Kay Kessler is going to be stepping in as vice chair tonight. Dr. Angela Cooper will not be with us either. She's out of town at a statewide meeting. Dr. Jones will be handling her part. And also would like to say welcome to former board member Mr. Jerry Chitty's in the house tonight. It's always nice to have Mr. Chitty. Okay, first item on the agenda is the invocation and pledge of allegiance, and I'll turn that over to Ms. Kessler.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. We are always pleased to have students representing our high schools join us to lead the invocation and pledge of allegiance. Tonight, we are honored to have students from Brooklyn Casey High School. Joining us to give our invocation is Christina Reed Riddle. Reed is a senior at Brooklyn Casey, where she is enrolled in the honors and AP classes and maintains a 4.4 GPA. Reed has been a cheerleader for Brooklyn Casey since the 7th grade, and she serves as secretary of the student body. Reed is a member of the Beta Club, Mock Trial, the Latin Club, Honors Chorus, Math Honor Society, and FCA. Outside of school, she works at Grecian Gardens, is an active member of the youth group at Trinity Baptist Church. Reed plans to attend Clemson University in the fall of 2019, where she will major in biomechanical engineering. Following our invocation, Rebecca Michelle Kelly will lead us in the pledge. Rebecca is a senior at Brooklyn Casey High School, where she is enrolled in honors and AP classes and maintains a 3.99 GPA. She is a member of the DECA Club, a leader in the FCA Club. Becca is a member of the Brooklyn Casey Student Council and has been a Bearcat cheerleader for 4 years. Outside of school, she is a member of the youth leadership team and sings and plays the keyboard for the youth and adult praise band at Trinity Baptist Church. Becca hopes to attend Charleston Southern University in the fall of 2019 as a music and worship leadership major. Thank you, ladies. And if you will,
please bow your heads. Dear Lord, thank you for protecting us from Hurricane Florence, and please be with the families that were affected by it. Thank you for letting us meet again tonight, and please be with everyone in this room and give them guidance and wisdom in order to do what's best for our school district. Please give them the strength to do what is right by you, and let everything they do to be to honor and praise you. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda, and if there's no objection, the agenda will stand approved as submitted. Next, we have public participation period.
Give no question.
Thank you, Mr. Hinton. Next, we have reports on honors and accomplishments, students and staff. I'll turn that over to Mr. Hinton and Dr. Jones.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board, members of the audience. Tonight we're honoring an Airport High School student, Natalie Elizabeth Bradwell. Natalie, please come to the front so we can brag on you. The Congress of Future Medical Leaders was created by the National Academy of Future Physicians and Medical Scientists to help solve a growing problem. They say within a few years we're going to have 150,000 less physicians than is needed to help take care of us in the United States. The National Medical and Scientists being selected, they wanted to pick out, and they're targeting the top high school students in the nation to start working with them and trying to encourage them to go into the field of medicine or medical science. Natalie is a junior at Airport. She has a GPA of 3.949 currently. She's a member of the Beta Club, Beat 27 Club, varsity soccer team, and student government. She still doesn't know what field she'll be studying in college. It was between medical surgery, she likes the surgery, and criminal justice. Natalie said the most interesting part of the trip was watching a live surgery via telecast where students could ask questions. They were able to see every aspect of the surgery. Natalie, we're very proud of you. Please join me in congratulating Natalie.
We're giving Natalie a certificate from Lexington too in appreciation for her academic work, but we also have a national award that was sent to Airport High School just today. And Natalie, after you look at it, show your mom, if you'll leave it with somebody here at the district office, we'll have a professional frame it for you and get it back to you there. Okay. Congratulations.
Okay, the next item is unfinished business, and we have no unfinished business. So we'll move on to new business. First item, item A, is consideration of a request for a donation. The board received a request from the community members to accept the donation, and at this time, I'll turn the podium over to Dr. Trey Castles.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, board members. Thank you, Dr. James. Thank you, administrators and persons of the school district. Those who do not know me, let me give you a brief background. I'm a board-certified pediatrician, a fellow of the American Academy of Pediatrics, and I'm a 1990 graduate of Lexington 2 School District. I attended from elementary up through high school. I married my high school sweetheart, and who also attended Lexington 2, and now we are the proud parents of 4 children who are in 3 different schools in this school district. I'm a resident of the school district, a taxpayer, and an advocate for Lexington School District 2 among my peers and my fellow colleagues. I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak and present what I think is a reasonable alternative to the present basketball goal system being proposed for the new arena. I would like to suggest reconsidering a more functional, portable basketball goal system that is desired by the school and the community versus the current hanging goal system that has been previously voted on. Let me be clear. I'm not here to be divisive or cause ill will. I'm here to propose a potential solution to an issue that the school and community feel strong enough to take a chance and allow this school board to reconsider. I do want to take a moment and thank our school board. I appreciate the commitment each of you has made to the school district. I have but a limited sense of your dedication of time, resources, and skills. I do understand your fiduciary responsibility to the students, parents, community, and alumni. And I don't know if you hear it enough, but this community does appreciate what you do, and I thank you for all. The reason I'm in front of you today started about 3 months ago with a phone call from the basketball coach, Coach Casey. He wanted to let me know that he was discouraged and concerned that the students and players had been shortchanged from what they deserved. A little perplexed, he was speaking of the basketball goal system that can be used in the new arena gymnasium. A basketball goal that is part of that what college and professional players use in their practices and events. He felt such a set of basketball goals were worthy of the students and of the arena being built. I certainly could feel his passion over the phone, and I had no knowledge of such a vote or that it even existed. He explained to me that the preferred state-of-the-art basketball goal system that this arena should have and that the school desires was voted against by the school board. On further questioning and discussion, I told him that I'd be happy to look into it and to see what circumstances prevented that goal system from being used and voted on. Since that time, I've had phone call conversations. I've had personal meetings, and I've had what I call curbside consults with multiple people to discuss the subject. My disclaimer, I in no way portray myself as an expert or even learned enough to discuss the matter of portable goal systems or hanging goal systems at any great length. I've only taken the reasons that were given to me and researched them to confirm or refute their merit. The three recurring reasons that I found for not using the ideal portable goal system seem to be storage, safety, and arena functionality. A fourth issue is the one that I would like to offer a potential solution for this evening, and that would be the cost of the portable basketball goal systems. Let me start by saying this portable basketball goal system is a very large piece of equipment. I'm not telling you something you don't know. It may even be an understatement that it's a large piece of equipment. Of images I've seen, it's a 14-plus tall piece of equipment, and I've even stood beside one and thought how massive a structure. In fact, to me, it almost looked like a dinosaur, and that certainly was described to me how far we've come in basketball goals. I've seen them in person at Colonial Life Arena, Dorman High School, River Bluff, and other arenas of this size. Thankfully, this large basketball goal condenses down to a manageable, much smaller size. This is one of its benefits. The storage dimensions that I've been given for the goal system, the Legacy 8, are 6 foot 10 inches in height, 6 foot 4 inches in width, and 14 foot 8 inches in length. This would, however, take up a significant amount of storage, room for both goal systems in the arena. Not having access to the blueprints, I did not know the storage capacity of the new arena, so I asked architects. The response I received was as follows. As with any new construction, storage is a premium. There is approximately 700 square feet of storage off of the gym floor, which includes storage for both goals. An additional 375 square feet of storage is located throughout the facility, and there is approximately 75 square feet of storage dedicated to just concessions. This statement does allow for adequate storage for all activities associated with the new arena. It also allows for other sites to be separate from the goal storage, so it would not be infringed upon on physical education equipment, non-basketball sports, or supplies for events. Now, truthfully, because that storage may only be needed for a small amount of time, it will make for a large unused storage site that could be taken advantage of over time for things teachers and coaches may want to put away. For in the South, we have a tendency, when companies coming over, to take our junk from the front yard and put it in the backyard so that our friends don't see it. That's human nature. But let us be reminded that codes and district procedures prevent improper storage of such equipment for safety and rapid person access in and out of the arena. We have to trust that storage is used in the most efficient and effective way possible, and that it ultimately would be at the discretion of current and future administrators. The board has trusted that the architects and builders have done their due diligence and have allowed for such equipment protocols. However, the numbers and the math do tell me that storage is not and should not be a reason against the preferred portable goal systems. However, in full disclosure, in discussion with other administrations of other schools, the truth is most of the time, these goals are stored in the corner of the gym, in the hallway, out of the way, unable to be accessed. Some schools have a covering, others do not, but no school, and I repeat, no school, said that storage was an issue. Because it has been such a large part of this vetting process for this arena, I do feel that goal storage will be proper and not be an issue. The second reason I mentioned for not choosing the portable goals by this board that was mentioned to me was safety. I admittedly was a little embarrassed when I heard this, that I had not considered it myself, being that I promote child advocacy every day and discuss athletic safety at every well visit encounter. But in fact, it is an excellent point. One measure that almost every issue of this school district should be decided upon is that of safety. Whether it's a program, an area of construction, a piece of equipment, safety for the students and other users has to be the litmus test for the district's use. Rhetorically, I ask, could this system promote more wrist or hand injuries? Could it promote more risk for concussions? Does the goal system set up increased liability to the school district because of its anchoring or placement on the floor? I performed medical literature search to see if more emergency room visits involve this type of system. And in fact, the injury patterns for physical education basketball, competitive basketball, and even professional basketball have not changed over the last 15 years, with the top injuries being ankles and knees, fingers and hands, and concussions still the top three. I will state that concussions, though, are on the rise. I've had many conversations with emergency medicine physicians and orthopedic physicians that agree that the industrial type of goal system, with its placement and padding, in their opinions, may actually reduce the risk of upper injury, extremity injury, concussions that are associated with what we call hard fouls, and other layup injuries. When asked architects, they stated there have been no known injuries, complaints from schools associated with the goal system. The goals require a small half-inch pin to properly place the goals on the floor. The pins are well off the playing surface and have a receiver that is not exposed to participating athletes. I even had a legal database searched, and though there are many lawsuits of basketball goal manufacturers, the overwhelming goal types are hanging goal types or home portable goals, not gymnasium-style anchored goal types. One case that was brought to my attention from 2015 involved a portable goal of this caliber, but it was found to be installed in a smaller indoor facility and was determined to be installed too close to the court. I would also mention that the goal type of this that we desire is almost exclusively used by the National Basketball Association, the National College Athletic Association, and I would assume both entities would not use these goals that pose a threat to participants or increase their liability. Some would say not necessarily in that order. And so I conclude that though there is always risk, the preferred goal system has not and will not pose greater injury risk to students or liability to the school district. And so a third reason proposed for not issuing the portable goals is arena functionality due to this type of system. By functionality, I mean, can the arena be used for its purposes without limitation due to the fact we use the portable goal systems and have them in place? I'll pause only because I think in the last 9 to 10 days, we've all been faced with at least some anxiety. If you watch TV, if you were aware of what was going on with Hurricane Florence, this community served very well. We're very fortunate. Our friends to the east and north were not so much. But thinking of this, it reminded me that when we build a structure of this type, we have no idea what mission it may serve at some point. That this arena may someday serve to house people who are displaced, to house people who have it without. And though that has nothing to do with our goal systems, it just made me think that sometimes our decisions are not just inside the school district, but community-wide and greater nationwide. But on this point, I would agree. A goal system that is cumbersome, complicated, or difficult to assemble and disassemble would not be in the students' or school district's best interest. A proposed scenario would be an event requiring use of the portable goal system on one evening could not be disassembled or stored in time for an academic function or ceremony the following day, or within even several hours. In posing the question to administrators of other schools, this has not been an issue. The disassembly is methodical, not complicated, and the movement of the system is easily obtained and takes minutes, not hours to perform. Truthfully though, remember these goals are sitting up in the gymnasium for probably 90% of the time, and granted this type of scenario would be required only a handful of times, you would think. However, some schools, such as Lexington High School, prefer to move portable goals for every volleyball event, and it requires frequent breaking down and removing from the gym floor. However, the coaches and staff state that this has never been contentious or prevented inclusivity use of the gym. But it does speak to a greater question, that if our desire for the biggest and best comes at the expense of academics or education, our values and priorities are misaligned. Currently, Lexington High School has had this system in place since 2008, Emerald High School since 2010, and River Bluff since 2013, to name a few. I know of several ceremonies and functions that have had great experiences due to this basketball goal flexibility used by these and other schools. And so I conclude that arena function in all its ways would not be restricted or hindered due to this preferred portable goal system. So now, I'd like to speak to the point that I've come to present. When I was grappling with the reason to not get this top-of-the-line basketball goal compatible with that of NCAA, NBA, even larger school districts of our area, I figured certainly it came into the area of cost. First thing that went to my head. But truly, I thought this must be several $1,000s, if not $100,000. But I figured plenty of sense that the desired goal would be much more and cost prohibitive. I admit that I was a little surprised to hear the cost difference for the total goal system. But even that number is a small portion of the total budget. I still admire the frugality, the due diligence of necessity, and the sense of being good stewards of our community's tax dollars. And this is where I'd like to make my proposal. Keeping in line with your fiduciary responsibility, I propose that you allow the community to raise the lacking $13,500, and by doing so, the Brooklyn Casey Arena can have the same goals, standard of every current construction put in place in the last decade, which gives the students and players a chance to play on the same quality goals that higher education institutions and professional organizations use every day. It puts this arena on the same level with other school districts in the state, and by doing so, the statement is clear that our students deserve and get the best there is to offer. I ask for anyone who had reservations for the premium portable goals before to please consider and allow the community to invest further in this bond referendum. And in so doing, make the example that monetary resources in Lexington 2 are scrutinized down to the last penny. Within a small amount of time, I have the commitment of several persons and businesses in the community that are willing to give some amount to make up for this budgetary shortfall. I would hope that all these donations would be 501c3 tax credits to the individuals and businesses who donate. I do understand that orders for the arena have been placed, and if a change to the preferred goals was to occur, Lexington 2 would not have financial penalty if done quickly. Now, I also understand that if I had in my pocket a check in the amount of $13,500, it would have much greater weight in guaranteeing such a financial promise. But I can give you my word that its funds could not be raised. If they could not be raised, a private donor would be done in donation to ensure the money to the school district. In conclusion, I truly want what's best for Lexington School District 2. I know you do too. I also respect the decisions of this board, where everyone must submit to governing authorities, and for all authorities come from God, and those in position of authority have been placed there by God. Thank you for your patience and time, and I appreciate any consideration you may give to this issue.
Thank you, Dr. Castles.
Madam Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we table this discussion on this donation since Mr. Bingham was unable to be with us tonight, and it's such a vital issue. I think that his input would be critical.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion?
I'd like to speak to, from what I understand, we're trying to get this thing open January. I mean, I think that's a decision that's going to have to be made sooner than later. I mean, I agree. I wish Bill was here, but I think if you table it, you kill it. So it's like not voting on it. So, I mean, from my perspective, I could not be in favor of tabling it tonight.
Madam Chair, as Mr. Bingham stated very eloquently, the last time this was voted on, that was the third time that this board had voted on that subject. That is highly unusual that we are facing this again. There's a lot I could say about it, but I'll refrain. Dr. Castles, you did a tremendous job in presenting your side and maybe some community members' side. But keep in mind, this will be the fourth time this board has voted. I don't know of another topic in my 18 years on this board that has been brought back and back and back for a vote. That has nothing derogatory to what you said. You made excellent mention in your presentation, and I can agree with some of it, that this is a very hard issue. We've got administrations that we need to uphold, and that plays a part for a couple of us too. They've worked hard to get us where we are. But I do want to say, this is the fourth time this subject has been up for a vote.
Madam Chair, if I can, please. Dr. Castles, I really appreciate you taking time to come speak tonight. I'm certainly aware of your involvement and your commitment to our school district, and all others that are here and supporting you as well. It's people like you, people that are coming to support you, that make our community special. And I mean that sincerely. You care about our schools, you want the best for our schools, and I really appreciate that. Now, as far as the basketball goals and your proposal, you made the statement, Cindy's made the statement, you did not know the vote had occurred. I think that's an important statement, because the reality is we shouldn't be voting on something like this. This is not something that should be coming before the board, and that's not your fault, okay? The amount of time and frustration that we've spent on this, it really is aggravating. It's been a divisive topic for whatever reason. It shouldn't have been, but it has been. And that's not our role. Our role is supposed to be hiring and firing the superintendent. It's supposed to be managing the budget and setting policy. It's not the minutiae. It's not the day-to-day stuff. It's not micromanaging our district. However, this was brought to our board to vote on. That was not done by you, once again, but it was brought to us to vote on. And so that's why we're here, where we are today. So in hindsight, this actually should have been tabled in June, when it was first brought to us to the vote, because we didn't have the information that you presented to us tonight. So in hindsight, we would have been better served to have tabled it then to get the answers to the questions that you've done research. And I appreciate you taking time. Obviously, you've got access to research that we don't on the safety side. I know, Kay, your concern was certainly safety. You had safety
My concern
concerns.
is taking care of the equipment, who's going to put it up and take it down. It's just like, I know that River Bluff only allows 2 people to do it, and if a function goes on and one of those persons after, it doesn't happen. So my concern is getting it up, get it down safely and placed. It's safety as far as the equipment and being broken. And
But when we took the vote, you indicated safety was your main concern.
It is.
And I understand that, and I think Dr. Trey's done a great job of stating why that's not an accurate reason. Now, I'll be real clear. I don't have a dog in this hunt. I don't play basketball. My kids don't play basketball. Whatever goal ends up in this arena is not going to affect me personally. In fact, my middle son will probably be gone just about by the time this thing is erected. Maybe my daughter will be in there for a cheer competition. That's the only interest I have in this. So, but if this board will recall, I was pushing to do the auditorium ahead of this arena. I was pushing to get that done from a time frame. You guys remember that. The reason I backed off of that is because Mr. Bingham, who unfortunately is not here, mentioned the possibility of having us used as a practice facility for the NCAA tournament. And I said, that's a great idea. That's great exposure for our district, potentially financial incentive for our school and our district if we could be actually used as a practice facility. So I agree. Hey, I think that makes sense. I agreed and agreed to move forward. What doesn't make sense to me is that we would then say, well, we're going to put different goals in there than what these people are used to playing. So you've got colleges coming in there practicing, and you're going to say, well, we got a different kind of goal system. I'm not a coach, I'm not a player, but I can't imagine if I was that I'm going to go to a facility that's got a different equipment to practice on. So in my mind, what's going to happen when they start looking around for facilities is they're going to say, Well, yeah, Lexington's got a great arena, but their goals are not what we're used to playing on. I don't want my guys practicing on that. We're gonna go to the next one down the street, which happens to be Riverfront. So that part's really frustrating to me. You
The
know,
height of the goal's going to be the same, the height, the size of that arena's going to be the same, there's no.
I understand that, Kevin, I understand that. If you talk to the basketball coach, you talk to Mr. Coach Wells for the last 2 years when they've gone to Lower State, ask him where he went to practice before he went to Lower State. He went to River Bluff so that his kids could get used to practicing on the goals that they were going to have at the Lower State Championship. Whether it's mindset, whatever it is, I'm just saying that there's going to be a difference there, and I believe that Carolina probably would look for a different option if they had 2 choices. That's my point there. But overall, my whole point with this is like we're building a Ferrari, and we're putting little skinny tires on it. So you've got this great vehicle, and you can't get everything out of it because you're limiting it by the tires that you put on it. So we have a great arena, and then we're choosing to put a piece of equipment that does not let us use it to its full extent. So that's kind of where I'm at, just overall in this thing. So I'm tired of Lexington 2 just being good enough. I'm tired of us playing catch up to our neighbors, and we're always seem to be comparing ourselves to our neighbors. I'm tired of that. This bond referendum was a shot in the arm that this district needed to finally get caught up. And this is caught up. This is not ahead. This is getting caught up with our neighbors. It's been a long time. It should have been done before, whether it's athletics, academics, arts, just like this auditorium. I want the best that we can afford for this district and our student, period. So if these goals will help us move in that direction, I'm all for it.
Madam Chair, let me remind the audience, and maybe the board as well, this board has done due diligence with this project. We did not take that $9 million that was allocated for the arena and stuff it on a small campus and crowd it up. This board chose to spend $2 million more for Brooklyn Casey so that they could have a very nice arena and have space for parking and not jam it up. So I think this board and this district,
$13,500.
excuse me, I think I'm talking.
Yeah.
I think we have done due diligence, and I'd like our community to look at some of the positive things that have been done rather than negative. And Madam Chair, I think we have a motion on the floor in a second.
And we were having discussion on the second. Any further discussion, Mr. King?
I still have a lot of reservations about storage. And I would like for maybe Don can answer, do we have adequate storage? If we have wrestling mats, cheering mats, volleyball, and everything, do we still have adequate storage in this building to accommodate everybody?
Everybody, no. But now, right now, the intention is for wrestling not to be using this facility. It will be in the existing facility. So, but I will tell you that as far as the teams that are designated to be participating in this facility, I feel comfortable that there's adequate storage.
What is the administration recommending? That's what we normally go on.
Well, I've told you from the beginning, my recommendation has been, you know, what you voted on before.
Yes, sir.
And I also told you that I didn't care one way or the other. My concern previously was the storage, but we have addressed that issue, and I no longer have that as a concern. I didn't have it as a concern when I brought it to you before. Now, if wrestling decides they're going into this facility, then we have a problem. But you have nowhere to store those mats.
Why is wrestling not going in a new facility that we're doing?
I'm not sure.
Is there physical education space? Are there physical education locker rooms in that facility?
I mean,
Is there physical education storage? So we built this $14 million arena for basketball,
No, ma'am.
volleyball?
no, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
But there is storage. There is
For
adequate
the
storage.
equipment, for the teams that are going to be participating in this facility, from what I've been told, there is adequate storage for those teams.
So this year, this day, is this going to be basketball? They volleyball home matches. I know they can't get any tournaments in there because there's only one court. And that's all it's gonna be in that.
Well, I think tournaments you would find in volleyball. The practice setting for the 2 courts does not exist in this facility. And again, that's on purpose. There was a feeling that, you know, they wanted to make it more for basketball, and for competition, I guess it would be the proper way of stating it.
But it could be used for volleyball tournaments.
Absolutely.
And cheerleading tournaments,
Absolutely.
and community events,
Absolutely.
and school-wide events.
Absolutely.
That's the purpose. This is not just a basketball arena. That's what I want people to understand. This is not just a basketball arena. Obviously, that might be its primary use. This is something that can be used not only by the school, by the district. This is something to be used by the community as well. The portable goals, by getting them out of the way, it just expands that opportunity to use it for more opportunities and more events. And it is within the GMD, so I don't want to let everybody understand that it was within the original budget. This is not an extra 13.5.
13.5 is nothing. I mean, there's not one of us could write a check that. The money has nothing to do with the problem. Nothing.
Then what is it?
What is taking care of it? Have any of you had an opportunity to be at Brooklyn Casey? I've been to 4 volleyball matches there. Over the basketball court itself, 4 lights are out. And every corner, it's trashed. And my concern is, we bring in these goals, they get put somewhere, they get torn up. Then all of a sudden, game time, we've got a problem. We don't have a court because it's broken. So that's my concern with this. We don't take care of what we've got. The scoreboard doesn't even work in the main gym. I mean, I'm concerned about the care and taking care of the equipment. Because in the present gym, this is Thursday, I was there Tuesday night, still into the season, 4 lights out, scoreboard not working, trash in this corner, trash in that corner, trash under the bleachers, because we don't take care of what we've got. And we bring something in that's portable and expecting it to go up and stay up, bring it down and put it up, and is it going to get back in the right place? Are they going to put the pins in the right place? Is it going to be playable when time comes to play basketball? And that is my dilemma with all of it, is the care. You might have a coach now that's there, he may not be there. We have no knowledge of how much longer he's going to be at the school, nor the principal, or what they want to use with this facility. And what I'm looking at is down the road, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. Are we going to be able to use the facility? Is it going to be there and in good shape? That's my concern. It's the care of and how these are put up, taken down. And like I said, at River Bluff, there's only 2 people can do it. If those are absent, it doesn't happen.
May I speak on the New York discussion?
Sure.
I will say that Norman High School has 6 of these golden goals.
High school's a small campus.
It is, you're exactly right. And they are getting 2 more for just practice facilities and side goals. I will, again, have full disclosure. To give you an interesting conversation I had Tuesday. I called the athletic director at Emerald High School. I said, listen, we're having a little bit of discussion about these portable goals. I know that the architect is putting that in for you. May I ask, what do you think about the portable goal system? He said, if I can do it all over again, I would do a hanging goal system. The phone got real quiet. I was like, that's not what I want to hear at all. He went on to discuss that what had happened was their boundary to the wall was smaller than it should have been. And so they had to purchase an inferior, less of a product. They put their shot clock at the top of the backboard. And so with use, this shot clock started moving. They had to take it down. They had to put it someplace else. If you look, I think the architects and the builders have planned for these things so that we have learned, and they have learned from the past mistakes. When you mentioned about lights being out, I think that just speaks the need that Brooklyn Casey has had for this type of arena for a long time.
Perhaps you missed my point. I think about the care of.
I understand
It has
that.
nothing to do with
And that same arena had construction on its roof last summer. It is dilapidated. And so I'll just say this, I think we have a responsibility educating our community and our students to take pride in what we have
Not trash.
and not trash it. How do you do that? I can tell you how I do it. I'll tell you how I do it with my children, and I hope how they teach their friends. But that is a community swelling of emotions and pride that has to happen. And something like this just shows that this board is on board with that. That this community, through the bond referendum, takes pride in this school district, district-wide. And so all these are possibilities. I've only used the other administrators that I've talked to say, when you latch it, when you take it down, when you do it, tell me what you dislike. Again, Billy Harris at Lexington, he and I think several other people know how to do it very well, and they have to do it quite often. One of the questions that I ask myself, could we teach a kid to do it? Could a kid be able to do it? Well, that just speaks of liability and things like that. But my point being, it's not a hard procedure. It takes, at max, most said it takes 30, some said it takes up to 45 minutes to take it down or to put it up correctly. And there is a learning curve with it. When you latch these things in place, you have to get it straight. And so I'm not saying that it is simple and easy to do. What I'm saying is the magnitude of that arena deserves what it deserves. And these are the premium goals that are done in every construction that our architects have done in the last 10 years, that anybody who has basketball knowledge, plenty of rumors going around, oh man, just think of all the new teams that will come practice and do something. We don't know that, but we do know that this is a very high-end arena, and it deserves a high-end basketball goal system. And so the only reason, I honestly thought Labor Day weekend this was a dead deal. I mean, I've had my head held down for a while, and I realized that there was a possibility that maybe if I come and say, okay, these other issues are possible, but if it is a money issue, let the community, and I know that it's not, it's the way we got into the door, but just to show that the community and the school wants this. So why are we not voting for it?
I had a comic, and I wished I would have brought it with me. There was this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful swing set that had been put up by the administration. I mean, it was gorgeous. No one could beat it, not even the Cease Carter group. It was just absolutely gorgeous. And then in the middle was all the process. And here stood the children over here. You know what they wanted? A tire on the end of a rope hanging from a tree limb. So I think we've got to put some things in perspective. It's what we need for our children. It's not what we need to be proud of. Yes, we need to have pride in everything we do and everything we say, but we've got to make sure that we give our children what they need to excel and go on. So let's don't let what the children's dream is become our dream, and we make something this big grandiose picture out of it, when that child only wanted a tire hanging from a tree limb on a road.
In this case, I'll just say one other thing. If you want a good example of what the possibilities are, I think you look at the stadium. The stadium has been, now every time I drive by on Knox Avenue, I see one of those cedar trees with a brown limb. I want to go cut it and prune it.
And there's about 40 bushes out there that are dead as they can be.
You're right. I'd love to take a gallon of Roundup and get all the weeds up. You're exactly right.
The day you choose to do that, call me.
I will. But in all, it is still just as beautiful a feature. The kids are in love with it. Kids in the community use it, and I think it grounds Lexington too, and allows it to be a pillar in the community because of what it represents.
As long as we take care of it.
And I believe that discussions like this, but I'm proud of how it still looks. I've seen other places that have had nice construction and have gone downhill very fast. I mean, we're dealing with high school kids.
Would you think that a team of ours would go anywhere and trash a locker room anywhere?
I think that our team, the Brooklyn Casey team,
Brooklyn Casey team and their 14?
I would hope not, but I think it would be a great learning tool if they did.
Ms. Brown?
And I hear the concerns, but I don't think that because we're worried it wouldn't be taken care of is a reason not to accept it, because we're spending $252 million to improve everything. We've got good maintenance staff now, who does a really good job of what they're doing. We've got Don, we have an administrator, a superintendent up here. If it becomes an issue within the school of who's going to take it down, who's going to teach it, who's going to put it up, I feel confident in the principal of BC High School to make sure that all of his coaches and other adults, right, I'm sorry, I can't go with you, I'm letting the kid put it up and down. All of his coaches, and I just feel confident that he'll make sure everybody's trained. And I think that everybody in this room has heard how passionate this community is, and that everybody at the school wants it so badly that I think they will take care of it. I think them taking care of it, to me, is not at all worried. I'm not at all worried about that.
Thank you. All right. And thank you again, Dr. Castles. I have a motion and a second.
Before we vote, I would like to speak to Trey. I'd like to thank you for all the research you did. You did, I remember you talked several times, and you did hit on every point that we had discussed. And I think, I hate the way this was brought back up. I hate it coming to a vote on stuff like this. It's almost being a divider in our schools, in our board. I think everybody in this room knows who's going to vote which way. And when we walk out here, I know either one side's going to be mad at me or the other side. And that's what we're signed up for. But you did do your research, and I think Don's answered a lot of questions. I hate to see a basketball goal be this decisive in a school district. Because we have schools now, we have classes of 29 students and one teacher, and we can't afford to get another teacher. We have other issues, but we're letting this go. But y'all did do the research. The community over there seems like they're gonna come together to pay for it. And I think if we can guarantee that we have safety, that we maintain stuff, and not let it be torn up the way a lot of things are getting torn up. Beth is right, we do have new maintenance crews coming in, and I think we need to be held to a higher standard. And I think the community needs to hold schools to a higher command, because it is true. We have had things trashed here recently this year. But I don't want to see this goal just be part of district. And so I just want to thank you for doing the research, because you did everything I asked you to do to look into. And I think you answered. I think you taught some other people too. So I just want to thank you for that.
Thank you. Again, if I may say, whatever, if ever there's a vote here, I don't hold personal against anything. Again, my words that I appreciate what you do. You have inner circles of information that we're not allowed or privy to, and that's on purpose. So if this doesn't go the way I want it to, doesn't mean that I'm down on this board. This board is still Lexington School District 2's board. And so I'm in support regardless. So I just want you, that's why I want to make sure everybody knew. This is nothing to be ill will or just, I'm not coming here because I dislike anybody. I come here because I just saw something that looked strange, and I thought if we had one more last, if I may use the metaphor, half-court shot to try to get it to go through, I'm all for it. And so I just want to respond to that, Mr. Johnson.
Thank you, Ben.
Motion is to table right now.
All right, I have a motion and a second on the floor to table. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
No. Okay, motion does not carry. We have a no. So I'll entertain.
Motion to table.
The motion did not
Motion to
carry.
table did not pass.
Did not pass. It was 2-4.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to accept the proposal of Dr. Castles and his community members and the guarantee that he has made that the money will be raised, and that is a donation.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr.
Second.
Giles.
Stay here, the money's not the thing, the money is the other situations, where we can go to heaven, but we don't need the community up raising money for the other side. The money is not the problem, it's how it's going to be taken care of, or the lack of care, that's concern. And what the child wants, a tree with a rope on it, and inner tube hanging on the end of it, or that big colossal.
Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Thank you, ma'am.
I don't want to bring up a can of worms, and I was trying very, very hard not to.
Is it going to pertain to the motion?
It pertains to the subjects we're talking about,
Okay.
the community paying for this $13,500. The community was going to pay for a jumbotron. That did not come to fruition. Monies have been taken out of school accounts, and I know there's a big difference between the jumbotron and the gold. But the school has, and the district has been footing payments because what was supposed to be done didn't get done. And that has left a bad taste as well.
Madam Chair, I have to call a point of order on that. First of all, it's inaccurate because I know that people are donating to that jumbotron, and I know that very well personally. So I think that the school has been making what they're supposed to make as far as that jumbotron is. I don't think that's relevant to this motion.
Okay.
Is this
I
like
have
a
a-
GoFunded thing, is this like GoFunded?
No, it's a private donation.
Relevant or not, that comment was very relevant to the fact what we're discussing tonight.
Okay, we've got a point of order on it. I have a motion, I have a second. Is there any more discussion concerning the motion for the donation? All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
Motion carries. Thank you, Dr. Castles.
Thank you.
Next, we'll move to item B. It's certification of delegates for the South Carolina School Boards Association 2018 Delegate Assembly. Give me a second.
Madam Chairman, I always make a motion to nominate Ms. Kessler if she doesn't want to nominate herself. I make a motion to nominate Ms. Kessler and take all
I'm
of
going to beat her up yet.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much, Ms. Kessler, for representing
If your
us.
house gets egg tonight, I didn't do it.
I'll be there with you if she is.
Okay. Next, we have consideration of Chief Human Resources Officer and Coordinator for Evaluation and Effectiveness Travel. And I'll turn that over to Dr. James.
Dr. Cooper and Kevin will be traveling to Minneapolis, Minnesota, pending this board vote on October the 8th through the 12th. They will be presenters on Frontline. Lexington 2 has been highlighted in a national online magazine for our human resources activities, and they are presenting what we do to districts from all over the nation. So some amount of this, not the entire amount, but some amount of this will come out of general fund travel money, and under board policy, out-of-state travel that uses general fund money has to have the approval of the school board, and I would recommend that since they are presenting, you approve that.
Madam Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the out-of-state travel for items C, D, and E as a group. I think they've given us 3 different groups of people, and unless, without objection, if anybody want to hear anything specific about the other 3, I just make a motion to take them as a group and approve them.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. The next item is consideration of date change for the April 2019 board meeting. I believe where we originally had it, it was falling during spring break. Is that correct, Dr. Anderson?
Dr. James, are we going to have spring break this year?
Yes, ma'am. If we have spring, we will break. That's a little ahead, but what we want to do is get the board thinking in terms of that, quite honestly, and if we talk about that. There is conflict with spring break, so if there are other, project the calendar out that far, if there are other Thursdays that would conflict, you will let us know. We want to make sure that we get that changed and get it out soon enough for the board to plan around that.
Okay, so I'll need a motion to change that from April 18th to April 25th.
Correct.
Madam Chair, make a motion that we update the monthly board meeting April 19th from April 18th to April 25th, 2019.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. I have a motion and a second by Ms. Kessler. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Opposed?
You opposed?
I won't be there, I'm sorry.
Well, we'll Okay. Next is item G. It is consideration of first and second reading of revision to board policy IKADD, IKADD-R, IKADD-E, content and credit recovery. And I'll turn that over.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. It's good to be here tonight with you. As you probably remember, back in October, you first approved policy IKADD. In February, however, the State Board of Education approved revisions to the uniform grading policy to align it with procedures for credit recovery coursework that was issued by the South Carolina Department of Education. That was in December that they did that. So this revision resulted in a grade a student receives in the initial course remaining on the transcript. The credit recovery grade is GPA neutral, and this grade will be entered either as a P for passing or an NP for not passing. Either way, it goes in as a 0, does not count toward their GPA, which I think makes some of them feel better. The changes that have been made in the policy reflect this change from the State Board of Education, with a few other modifications that have been recommended to us through the State Department of Education. So it is the administration recommends the approval of first and second reading of revisions to board policy IKADD, IKADD-R, IKADD-E, content and credit recovery.
You said it so much better than I did. Thank you.
I've been saying that a lot.
Okay, get a motion.
Are these proposals from the state as written on this, or do we have input on how this is written up?
You have input. You have a color copy. The green is what I'm proposing adding, and red is taken away.
Right. I just have some questions about the content recovery there. Is that other than approved by certified teachers? Is that other than the original teacher of record? Or could it be the teacher, or should it be the teacher?
No, it's the teacher of record is who.
Approved by a certified teacher, it says. So my question, is that going to be the teacher of record or any other?
Should be the teacher of record.
I think it should be.
Yeah, tell me exactly where you are, because on the first page it says original teacher of record. So tell me which page you're on.
On page 1, sir. Under content recovery, which says, or other supplementary assignments, activities assigned and approved by a certified teacher is needed for the student to achieve mastery of course. I was wondering if that meant the other than. That's in the first thing,
Gotcha.
Content recovery, sir.
Could certified teacher be changed to assigned teacher?
Or original teacher of record, or written, yeah.
All right, so what that means is that the teacher that is doing content recovery may not be the original teacher.
Right, that's what I'm asking.
And so what happens typically in these situations is the teacher that is teaching the class, because usually the content recovery happens during the class. And the credit recovery is after the class ends. And so the teacher of record assigns what units that kid needs to do. And quite honestly, it usually happens in the grad point lab in most cases. Not all the time, but sometimes.
Where it
So it's
says
another
approved by
teacher.
certified teacher, could that not be changed to certified by content teacher?
Yeah, it can be, because ultimately that's who looks at that unit that they have worked on and gives them credit for it.
That's what she said.
Yeah, okay.
Madam Chair. So is this like a model policy we got from the School Boards Association?
Yes.
Okay, and then, Kay, to your point, we usually get, like, they send us what the model is based on the state stuff, but they're our policies, and we could not adopt any of what they send or change whatever, so to tell you that.
Our changes are in green, right, that's why
Right.
we could not have another green statement there, so that it would be the original teacher of record.
But if you wanted to make that as an amendment, you could make that as an amendment to be voted on, but before we get to whatever she wants to do with that, I like the IKADDE signature page and all of that. I just would like to make sure, you know, our folks, that we work really closely with our guidance counselors to make sure these students and parents understand this section about
Still counts.
NCAA eligibility and that it still counts. So to be clear, let's say I failed English 4 and I still want to graduate, so I can do this recovery and graduate, but I might not be eligible, like my original grade is still counting in my GPA for NCAA, right? Okay. All right. And, okay. But they could still potentially be eligible for NCAA if they've got a high enough GPA from other classes.
Right. I used to know those off the top of my head, I don't remember,
And
but
I
they
don't-
count so many
Right.
up through junior year usually.
Okay.
On page 2, sir, in green, we'll find the determination of credit recovery eligibility rests with the principal. Should it be with the principal or with the teacher committee or with the guidance counselor? Well, we go to our principal.
That is there just for, if there, we have sometimes we have some unique situations that come up. And so principals have to be the instructional leaders, quite honestly, and that's there so that they can have the option of putting a kid that needs it. Quite honestly, I can give you an example. This current year, we have a kid who did not graduate, who had a 58 in the class, and didn't get the option because of the way the policy was written. This helps us in those unique situations, quite honestly.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Can you amend the recommendation to reflect teacher of record in your first grade?
But we can't, we go ahead and have first and second vote with that change, so that you can still get first and
Yes,
second
ma'am.
reading if you're not.
All right, so let me make sure I got this right. I'm going to scratch out a certified teacher, and I'm going to put
Teacher of record.
teacher of record.
Okay, so if I can get a motion with that amendment.
Motion to accept the consideration for first and second reading for revision of board policy IKADD, IKADR, IKADDE, content and recovery with the exception of making one correction, adding certified teacher rather than
Church of record.
Teacher of
yeah,
record.
teacher of record. Okay.
I have a motion with an amendment. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Giles. Excuse me, any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Thank you, sir. Next item is item H, and it's the Airport High School 700 wing plan.
Madam Chair.
I'll turn it over to Mr. Isaac.
Thank you. Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. James, we have with us tonight Mr. Todd Cease, who's going to be coming up and just talking to you a little bit about our proposed plan for the 700 wing. Just to give everyone an update, a couple years ago, we had a fire in this, and this is the educational building at Airport High School. We did our best at the time to clean it up so that we could continue with classes that were having to go to class in that facility, one being cosmetology, and there are some very strenuous restrictions on the hours that they have to get in. So we had to basically put that facility back in place as quickly as possible. I will say that we've worked hard with contract construction to try to come up with a plan to do as much as we can with what we are working with, as identified as $1 million budget. Now, how am I going to come up with that $1 million? First of all, the insurance adjuster offered us something like $428,000 settlement 2 years ago. We refused to take that amount of money, and we began making our case. I have proposed to the insurance company, after a good bit of work with contract construction, Jump Carter, Cease Architects, and several others, we're asking for basically $854,882, which is a pretty sizable increase over what they've offered us. Now, will we be successful? I hope. If we get more than the $428,000 or so that we were offered, then it will have been worth our time. But I will also say that in all of the projects that we've done at airport with the designated bond money, hard costs, we have not used all of that $12 million that was set aside for that school. Now, I'll also say that part of what we've got to do after we present this to you tonight, and Mr. Cease and I have talked about this at pretty good length, is we've been talking about, and we're going to get with the administration and work on an overall campus security plan that we hope to include with this project, which will increase it to some more than $1 million. But I just want to kind of paint the picture for you and make sure that you understand what we're hoping to accomplish here. So even if the insurance company doesn't come through with the $854,000, we will have money available to do what we think we need to do. So with that said, Mr. Cease, if you'll make a presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Eisenhower, Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. James. Thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight. To give you an update, as Don said, on the Airport High School existing vocational building, the building 700. Been working with Don and Howard and contract construction, and we're in the final stages of preparing the plans to get the bids. We'll present those in the near future. But just to kind of orient you, this is the existing building. Airport Eagle Drive is over this way, the cafeteria is up here, the remainder of the school is over on the left. This is just the existing building. So the areas in the darker blue will be areas that get more of the renovation. The fire started right here. What we're proposing, it significantly damaged the mezzanine, if you remember those spaces. So that mezzanine will be removed. We'll create a fitness and wellness center that's approximately 7,000 square feet. It basically takes two of the existing labs and combines them into one. We'll have to add additional toilets to meet the current code for all of the occupants in that building, and that's this darker blue area here. And then ROTC, the very successful ROTC program at Airport High School, gets a nice classroom, instructional type space with all of the cadet storage that they need, and commander offices, as well as an indoor practice area, shooting range, drill, and on nice days they go out of the door and there's a nice paved area for outdoor drills as well. So that'll be all part of this. The areas sort of in light blue will be future opportunities for the school to decide how they want to use the existing auto body shop, which is located here. And as Don mentioned, cosmetology space is really in pretty good shape. We're going to paint it and things like that, but Don and Bill and those guys have already done some work in there to make it usable for cosmetology. So this is sort of a rendering of that space. And I've met with Coach Burnett, and what we've proposed is having turf on the floor. We got about an 18-foot ceiling height. Make sure we get plenty of logos on the wall to celebrate Airport High School. It has areas for batting cages for girls softball or baseball. It can be utilized for cheer practice. conditioning on bad weather days could take place inside, as well as wrestling, or really it'll accommodate all of the student athletes at Airport High School. So that's sort of the vision for the fitness and wellness center. And again, in the ROTC space, it would basically be just cleaned out, walls painted, wall graphics applied, and give them a nice space that they can use for their activities.
And Todd, if I may interject, part of what we've talked about here is that the demolition has to take place because there's structural damage. So we looked at what can we do with this space without it costing a whole lot of money. And this is what we are proposing. And as you know, we've done the same proposal for Brooklyn Casey. In my opinion, if we end up finishing this out, then we would need to look at doing the same thing for Brooklyn Casey. But try to find the money to do that. Now, we think that the money will be available with this budget, but if not, then they will be in the same situation that Brooklyn Casey's in. We will give them the shell, and we will give them as much as we can give them, and then we will work to kind of put it together as funds are available.
Question, the rifle range for your ROTC will be completed so that they can fire it, is that correct?
Yes.
Mr. Eisenhower, what about the small gym at BC? Can that not be utilized something like this for Brooklyn Casey?
It's just so far out of the way right now. We went in there yesterday, and they are using it for this type of thing. It's just a long way out of the way. And
Well, it is from the arena and from the stadium, but inclement weather and the cheerleading, that would be a fabulous facility.
Yeah, it is.
And it's
like I
got
said,
wonderful storage.
they've got turf on it now. The concern is that how much weight can be put on that floor? Because it is an old structure built in the 30s.
If that was new flooring, was complete when they were in 90,
We're just concerned about the structure.
but could you go down underneath because it's open
You
and
could.
put new structure in?
Good. We just don't think it'll be needed if we do what we're going to do over there at the.
But it's part of the main building. You don't just want to let it go and deteriorate.
Well, the school would like to make that something else down the road.
Okay.
And it was something that we had hoped to be able to do, but we just ran out of money.
And then, as Don mentioned, we're studying, and we'll present this at the October meeting if this is what you guys would like. But the perimeter security and security in general at Airport High School. So the thought process is to have various different levels of security. Certainly perimeter security around the entire campus, but then also how do you really create sort of an inner layer and an inner security level as well. And we'll be able to show you our thoughts on that, keeping in mind that there are code-related issues with these deep courtyards and proper means of egress and things like that that we'll certainly have to address, as well as include the local fire inspector and Howard and Don working closely with us to get an acceptable solution. So we should be able to present that in October.
And we're hoping to bring the bid back to you hopefully in November if things work out so that we can get things started.
Right.
Mr. Eisenhower, when you're cleaning up and tearing down the inside, getting rid of those, can you take care of that lot that's behind the tower lot that those vocational people would have cleaned out by now? It really is an eyesore to the back of that facility. That fenced-in area, they still have piles of junk everywhere. So can that be?
You're talking about in the paved part?
Yes, sir.
Yes. That's part of what Mr. Cease is talking about, that they would have outdoor space to go out and work.
But it's got to be cleared up.
Right.
Madam Chairman, I make a motion to accept the recommendation of administration to approve the plan as presented, but I have a comment after. Second.
The motion and a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. King.
And Don, I know that you're very good about money, but just because we have approved this, I mean, I wouldn't let up the gas on our insurance adjuster because airports shouldn't have to use their money and our bond money because we pay for insurance for a reason, and $400,000 doesn't cut it for a burned down building. So I hope that we keep our, just because we're approving it, that you know, we're not necessarily letting them off the hook.
Well, the insurance adjuster has told me because of all of the adjustment that is having to take place because of the hurricane, that it may be a while before we get an answer. He's saying he's hoping to get something within 60 days.
But this has been a long while,
It has
we've
been.
been waiting for answers.
2 years in January.
I mean, we had to put the Band-Aid on it to begin with, I think, at our own expense already, so they don't get credit for that to me.
No, and our argument has been that $400,000 is not enough for what happened, and that's what caused the length of time. They would have settled for a much lesser amount a long time ago, but you're exactly right, Don. I'm not sure $800,000 is adequate, but that's what we're asking for.
Who should have done that?
Okay. I have, it's funny with an attorney and an insurance company sitting with you. I have a motion, I have a second.
I am beating up on the insurance guy down there, aren't
Now,
I?
you're sitting there looking at staring at me.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Six.
Thank you very much.
Next, we have, item I. I'm just gonna let you go. How about that?
Madam Chair, I would bring your attention to item I on the agenda, which is the Congo Greenwood Early Childhood Fire Sprinkler Project. Again, just to give you some background, we've already put this out for bid once. We only had one bidder the first time, and it was for over $1 million. Our budget for this project, and we talked to several people, was about $5 a square foot, which would have been around $450,000 roughly. And so we felt like we needed to try to rein that back in and see if we couldn't put it out for bid a little bit later and try to solicit more interest. Well, we've done that, and unfortunately with the economy being that everyone is so busy, again, we've only had one bidder. But this bid is much more favorable. The bid is $678,000, and it is by Thompson Turner Construction. And I want to again give you the background of saying that the way we've been able to do this work is we worked hard to try to get Abbeville money after these projects were finished, because OSF came back and said, you're going to have to widen the road around Seawick Wood and Pine Ridge, and you're going to have to sprinkle the building at Seawick. So we had no funds to do that because we'd already used the budget, the bond money that we had set aside for those projects. So Abbeville money became available. We went after it. We were initially given, I think, about $800,000. We continued to work the system, and we were granted $1.2 million. The paving came in higher than we had thought. That came in around $590,000. And if you give this, that's $678,000, then you exceed that $1.2 million by a little over almost $70,000. We're not going to ask that you approve this tonight. We're open to bids this afternoon at 3 o'clock. We'd like to have a month to be able to work with the low bidder and to try to look at some value engineering to be able to look at trying to bring that down to where that we can get it within that $1.2 million budget. Now, the whole time we've told you that we may have to supplement these projects. Now, we were also hoping to get a new fire alarm system at Airport High School out of this $1.2 million. Obviously, that is not going to take place. So we're going to have to look at doing that out of our 8% CPIF funds probably next year, or look at some of the contingency that we have available in our projects. But regardless, I just want to say to you that at this point, I'd like to table this and give us a chance to come back and with hopefully some better numbers for you in October.
Okay.
And then going on to item J, which is consideration of the former middle school access control or keyless entry and camera upgrades. I gave to you earlier tonight A3 communications for former. There are two packets for former, one's thinner than the other. The thicker one is the one that you need to look at here. It has a breakdown of everything. When I talked to them, they did not include a contingency, and with cameras and all of that access control, I feel like we need a contingency in there, so I've added a $15,000 contingency. So I'm going to ask that you approve this, that we award this project to A3 Communications in the amount of $197,985. $197,985. And that's a recommendation from the administration.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to accept the recommendation of administration to award the A3 Communications bid. Right.
Have a motion?
And the bid for the water sprinklers?
$196,000.
Okay. So then I'll make a motion to accept the bid for
At 197.
197.
No, sir.
985.
Okay, we have a motion. Do I have a second? Second. Thank you, Mr. King. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
Madam Chair, item K, which is consideration of the Fulton Middle School digital marquee. I'd just like to, again, in the way of background, I'd like to let you know that we included this sign in the 8% CPIF budget. You've already approved $25,000 for this project. I'd just like to bring the contract to you for the actual installation of it to be given to AAA Sign Company in the amount of $23,415. $23,415 to AAA Sign Company. And that's the recommendation of the administration.
Thank you.
Do y'all have a place y'all want to set that sign yet?
Yes, sir. Close to Boston Avenue.
Off Boston?
All right, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the administration's recommendation for Fulton Middle School digital marquee to AAA for $23,415.
So motion to have a second. Second by Ms. Kessler. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries.
Madam Chair, item L, which is consideration of Fulton Middle School data and telephone upgrades. I bring to your attention information that I passed along to you from Telcom. One sheet. There's a lot of pages that goes with this one sheet, background information. I didn't feel that you'd want to read that tonight, so if you have interest in it, I'll be happy to send it to you. But we've gone through this and vetted it pretty well. So we'd like to recommend that you award contract to Telecom Communication to install data and telephone upgrades in the amount of $439,595. $439,595 to Telecom Incorporated.
Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve former middle school's data telephone upgrades with Telecom Communications for $439,595.
I have a motion to have a second. Second by Ms. Kessler. All in favor, vote aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
Madam Chair, item M, item M, which is consideration of Lexington 2 Community Education Center access control for student services entrance. As you know, we've moved student services to the adult education building, which is the old LEC #1 grammar. We created an office within the old media center. There's a side entrance that works out very well for access to come into that location without having to go through the front office. We'd like to put some signage up. We would like to put an access control there and an A-phone so that the folks inside would be able to communicate to anyone who wishes to gain access into that facility in that location, and would be able to grant them access right through those side doors without them having to go to the office. So we ask that you award the contract to A3 Communications in the amount of $10,322. $10,322.
Motion to award president. Could you write it down?
Motion to approve student services entrance, signage, A phone, side door access to A3 communications for $10,322.
Have a motion, to have a second?
Second.
Second on the motion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
We need to get the signage off FBC one school too, is that in the future?
Yes, ma'am, there's a digital marquee that's coming that will go along that 4-lane road, but we'll work on trying to get some signage. And that price doesn't include the signage for that, but we'll work on some signage for that location. As we go, we're saying.
Thank you, sir.
Madam Chair, item 10, consideration of Lexington 2 Innovation Center delay in opening. We have with us tonight Mr. Bill Cram from Econ, and he's going to talk to you a little bit about the fact that we have targeted October 1st as our opening date, substantial completion date for the Innovation Center. Unfortunately, that's not going to occur, but we're not going to miss it by much according to Mr. Cram and Econ. So, Mr. Cram.
Thank you, Mr. Eisenhower. Excuse me, Dr. James, Madam Chairman, members of the board. Obviously, I'm not here tonight with news that I had hoped to bring you tonight. Sorry to report that we will not make the October 1st date. We had set that as an optimistic, aggressive date. Worked very hard to make it, but unfortunately we fell short. We simply did not accomplish as much as we had hoped to accomplish in the time frame. As Mr. Eisenhower said, we're not going to miss it by much. We are scheduled final inspection from OSF and the fire marshal for October 10th, with the goal of final move-in over the weekend of October 19th. We're coordinating with the staff administration, design team on virtually a daily basis to identify the priority spaces and establish priority areas for furniture moving. Hopefully that will begin the 1st of October. That's the date we've set. We'll move the furniture into some large bay spaces, then distribute it out. Partial occupancy of the building, students, is scheduled for Monday, October 22nd. And as always, that occupancy is subject to our achieving approval from Office of School Facilities and the fire marshal. And again, I'm sorry that we weren't able to meet the October 1st date, but I want to assure you that we're making every effort to get this done as quickly as possible, and we appreciate the efforts of the administration, staff, and design team to work with us making this happen.
If I may say, to add to that, just so the board knows, our goal was, we had identified the same weekend for us to move in during that. We have a work day on the 19th. So we were, all along, we were planning to make the move during that weekend. Now, what we weren't planning to do was to move in on partial occupancy. So what we're talking about is we've identified the rooms that we must have in order to function with the existing students that we currently have at Taylor Elementary. So we've worked hard with Mr. Cram and jumped hard seats to try to come up with a plan that we are still in the process of working through with the Office of School Facilities and State Fire Marshal. They could, either one of those could come back and say absolutely not, and then we got a mess. So we're hoping to be able to convince them that this is a good option. Econ has assured us that life safety, fire alarm system and all that will be working as it should. And in order for us to be able to speak to the Office of School Facilities or the fire marshal, that is an absolute. It must be working properly in order for them to even give us a possible discussion about this. So with that said, leave it to the board to ask whatever questions you might want to ask.
Sir, you stood before us in June, assured us we were going to be able to move into that facility at the opening of school, and evidently a lot happened over the summer. Are you fairly confident of this move-in date now, since we were told before it would be in August, now it's going to be in October?
Yes, ma'am. We have worked very closely with the subcontractors, with our scheduling consultant, and again with the administration to prioritize areas. And I think can see by pictures of this report that a lot of progress has been made, certainly not what we hoped. Yes, ma'am.
Too much delay for us, it was unexpected from the June date when you assured us that we would move in, so I'm just glad to know that finally, at least in the horizon, on the horizon.
But just partial occupancy, because again, like Ms. Hester said, you told us in June that we would be moving in the first day of school, that we would be in that facility. Then you backed us up to the 1st of October, and here you are backing us up again. I don't want to come next month and have us backed up another month or two. I personally don't. It's very devastating that we've had all this other construction going on, and we've been in by the dates they told us we could, but we're having pitfall after pitfall after pitfall. So to move in October the 22nd, I think we should be going in not partial occupancy, but full occupancy. There's no way that can happen?
No, ma'am, I'd like to promise that, but there have been some code issues that have arisen over the past month or so that we're in the process of working cooperatively with the design team to resolve quickly, efficiently, and cost effectively as possible. It's a complex building, and as we've spoken before, the inspectors these days are doing some different things and making changes late in the game. And that's something, as Mr. Eisenhower said, we have to satisfy those issues in addition to the high building. And we're working diligently to overcome those.
When would you anticipate full occupancy?
It will be sometime in early November.
Ms. Brown?
And I see this report, which I appreciate, is dated September 18th. Can we get these reports? Can you email them, or, because we get them on some other projects, and I've never seen one like this from any
Yes,
time.
we've been emailing them to the district, not every month, but very regularly.
Oh, okay. I didn't think we got them from the district. Can we get these reports, Don?
What they're speaking to, Mr. Graham, is that we send them weekly updates on some of our projects because the contractor supplies those to us every week. And you have been giving us a monthly update, and that's part of what we do our monthly update on to give to you. And what they're asking for is for that, and the weeklies include some pictures, which the board appreciates. So I think they're asking that we get a little more detail in our monthly update. And if we can do a weekly one, I think that they would appreciate that for the remainder of this project.
We'll be happy to
Yeah.
find out.
I mean, I like getting pictures because, and actually I called around today because I did want to, after I knew we were addressing this today, so I actually called around and I think I finally just got Linda and let her know I wanted to swing by there just for 5 seconds. And I thought, I was planning to go, I thought maybe Jody was going to be there or something, but now Jody, I know you've got to be over at your other school, so I got that. And Jody was trying to call me back too. And I had just missed Bernie apparently. And I was hoping to look around and like get into, because you remember I had a question last week about the auditorium. Because I'm a visual person, and so I appreciated being able to see this, but I didn't go anywhere past that. Once I saw how busy y'all were, I was like, I need to get out of here, so I only stayed 5 minutes. And I did get walking to this atrium thing that's pictured in the middle with this gorgeous staircase. And coming in, and there's like a lot of lights coming into it. It's really open. They made me really happy, and I think y'all are going to have a really good home there. And I'm going to stop right now and thank Bernie and Jody, because I know y'all been displaced. And you've opened school, and I can't even imagine having to do what you're doing at elementary school. And I appreciate you, and Bernie shared with me some of the things he said. So we really need to thank these people, because I know it's going to be great when we're in, but it's a tough start.
Thank our teachers for their,
Yeah. I see a paint can like on this, and maybe it's just, I don't know when this picture was taken on Monday or Tuesday, but why is this big white, why is there a big white circle right here on that landing of the terrazzo? It looked to me like there's a big, when I was in there today, that's as far as I got, but it looks like we have a really cool, I mean, what's this whiteness? Because it seems like we had a logo there, Lexington 2 thing, right there on
It's
that
an
land.
epoxy floor that hasn't been buffed yet. There's a Lexington 2 logo right there in the middle. So they haven't
Yeah,
polished
that's
that
what- so why-
terrazzo floor.
why, so it just didn't show on this picture? It just looks like it's like a big circle around it.
So that's not finished?
That's true.
Okay, I couldn't figure out what the white circle was.
It's not completed. Target.
The pictures are beautiful. So, you're gonna get busy and.
We are busy, I can assure you that, we'll stay busy.
But I was happy to see that, because that for me was a point of pride, because I know we do a lot of stuff in our like Terrazzo all the time. And I just have to commend the administration, because this has been such, you know, obviously, a lot of times we concentrate on this room on our differences, but this Career Innovation Center is the one place where we are not different. We are all together and we are all pulling together. And to see that gorgeous Lexington 2 Innovation Center right there, right in the entrance, where every kid who comes down, they know I am a part of something bigger than me. I am part of Lexington 2. And that is just our identity, our brand. Again, that foyer with that right there, kudos to Todd, all of y'all. I was really impressed with that. So I don't know who.
I feel like I got to address this. What's in the floor is a logo that was used for advanced education. And it has not been adopted by this board as a district logo. And our policy has been, and I've made it very clear to this board, that we don't put logos in Terrazzo. The architects all know that. And that logo is something that has been of debate, I guess, between those that are involved. And as of right now, the logo is supposed to be coming out. So if this board wants that logo in, then that's something that we're going to have to talk about, because again, it's not a logo that has been adopted by this board. It was only one that was used by the advanced ed group that came in here when we did our presentations and all of that. Now, I agree that it looks good. It's just that it's a forever thing once you put it in Terrazzo. And our philosophy has been to put it on walls and not put it in Terrazzo. Even if you put it on VCT, that's okay, because VCT is not that expensive to change. Terrazzo is. So I just want to make sure everyone understands that as of right now, that logo is not supposed to be there, and they've been directed to take it out.
Well, it's not that. It's not.
Do
It's
we
not
have a
the picture?
picture?
It's that logo, I think. At least it's not finished, but I think it's that logo, isn't it? Kind of.
It's similar.
Lex2, like green 2.
If it's been our policy, I just think that Dr. Jackson, Mr. Eisenhower need to determine what goes in that spot. We don't need to get into a debate of it, but he's right. We haven't done that on purpose because it is changing. So I think that we just need to let them decide what goes in that spot. And it will be nice. We don't need to sit here and debate that and hold up construction and everything else and get moving.
I wasn't trying to debate it or hold it up. I thought I mean, we do put things in the floor, like BC's got a 1972 we can't step on. I think we've always, in our district, kind of put things anywhere. I mean, I didn't know that was a district policy or anything else. And if we're taking it up, are we going to have a cost to taking it up, or?
That's up for debate.
Well, I think anybody can put it down. We, without approval, is the one that's responsible for taking it up. That's one.
We can put it in the last.
Is anything in Wood Elementary, Riverbank?
The only place it's going in is at DC's arena, and that has been a discussion with the design committee. And, you know, y'all said that it was okay for that to occur. And I don't have a problem with that. It's just that I don't want to be held responsible for a logo. I mean, we had them, you know, stick figure kids holding hands up until about a year ago. Actually, less than that. I mean, if that logo had gotten onto the floor, what would we be saying today?
It's subject to change, that's for sure.
I mean, I'm not trying to open a debate, I guess it's not on the agenda, but, I mean, I think y'all should at least look at it. That's just my thing. I got to look at it, I'm sorry, I'm trying to open can ones, but, I mean, just because of the way the flow thing, and it was a Lex2 thing.
Tony, were you going to be aware of this?
logo? Yes, ma'am.
We know it's in there.
We know it's in there, yes, ma'am.
Did you put your approval on it?
It's beautiful.
Did you put your approval on it?
The problem is that they are not the ones that make those determinations. All
Yes.
of that has to, it's been clear that all of that stuff comes through my office. And if it's something that we want to do, then we would work with the school and we would work on with the board and trying to come up with what goes down.
The
But
point
that
of
did not
question,
occur.
you may not choose to answer this, do you feel like you've been circumvented on many things?
I would prefer not to answer that.
Thank you, sir. You answered it.
Okay, I'll tell you what, we're gonna move on from that. Y'all need to, it's on there, okay.
But I think you just said they're taking it up. but-
Y'all gonna take it up, or can we go look at it, or can we discuss it, or has it got to be taken up?
Well, as of right now, they've been told to take it out.
Okay, as in, like, when are they gonna take it out?
Can I address that?
Yes, sir, please.
If it's going to come out, the terrestrial contractor is very near completing the audit. They will complete next week. So it is a decision that needs to be made. What the contractor installed and what was on the plans. We understand Mr. Eisenhower's point and have been directed to remove it. The contractors, the subcontractor, David Allen Company, is preparing to remove that logo in the next couple of days and re-pour it so that they can finish the grinding effort while they are still on site. So it is.
So this was on the plan, sir, that you were presented with from the architect?
Could I make a proposal? Can we not get a picture of it, email to the board, and just forward it tomorrow or Monday or whatever?
We'll be glad for the board to take time. I mean, we might as well be honest, the building's late, so I don't see how letting the board go look is gonna keep us from getting in.
Someone take a picture and email tomorrow.
We can email that. Part of the issue is, I haven't seen it in front of me. I'm glad it looks good. I like that logo, and quite honestly, Bernie's the one that designed it, and I asked him to, because I don't mean any harm, don't mean to offend anybody, but that little stick figure thing. If that offends you, I'm sorry, but.
I see the stick figures in last logo.
I'm sorry, it troubled me. I do think that's better. The problem for me, and I think the problem for Mr. Eisenhower, is when major things occur that we aren't privy to. When he told me we had a logo in the floor, I had no idea.
Sounds like I think we have trouble with our architect.
I like the logo. I think it looks good. I would hope that the district would adopt it and use it. I don't think Mr. Eisenhower has any issue with the logo as such. Logos do change, but knowing that it's going to be there rather than just walking in one day and it's there, that's pertinent to him to be able to do his job. And I don't think anybody could argue that Don's done a yeoman's job and putting this building program together. So, Mr. Cram, we're late now, so I don't see how we're going to hold it.
I'm not trying to say
I'm not saying
late.
we are, just if we can make a decision on it fairly quickly.
If it's gonna cost nothing to leave it, then it's gonna cost you to dig it out.
Well, I'm kind of like Ms. Kessler now, Ms. Brown. There's not an awful lot of people in this district that have the authority to okay a change or to okay a contract. Honestly, the superintendent and the board. So if the board likes it and wants to keep it, I think that's a wonderful thing. But if it has to come out, I think whoever put it in there without authorization needs to eat the bill.
Yes, sir.
And just before we get to see this and decide, or Bernie and Jenny, y'all like it, or are you okay with it?
Could Bernie and Johnny stay a few minutes before we go into executive session?
I'm sorry, I won't put you on the spot. Thank you, Ms. Kessler, thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Madam Chair, that concludes my presentation.
Mr. Eisenhower. Okay, next we're going to do consideration of rescheduling Riverbank Elementary School dedication. And I believe
Yes, ma'am.
that we had next Tuesday, September 25th due to the hurricane. We kind of need to change that, and if I'm not mistaken, we are now looking at October 16th, which is also a Tuesday night. If everybody could just glance at their calendars real quick, or let Danette know first thing in the morning if that works for y'all or not. And then we can move on and start getting invitations out and everybody invited. So, okay?
Do you need a motion or just information?
It's really just information. Okay, next is consideration of requests for out-of-state or overnight student travel. And if you'll hold on just a second, Mr. Hinton, if I can get Ms. Brown's attention. I'll just, I'm gonna go ahead and
I'll be there. All right. Motion to approve the out-of-state request for student travel.
Okay, have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Kessler, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Okay, next, we come to divisional reports, and the first one is the superintendent, and here we go with makeup days. Dr. James.
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Brown asked if we were going to have a break. Yes, by all means. If we don't do anything else, we're going to have a break. There was some confusion. We thought we had a good idea based on Lexington 1. I know you all saw it. Lexington 1 put out a press release that they were going to make up their days on a half day, or extending those days. You all know we asked for that last year. Dr. Brooks, when we saw that in the paper, Dr. Brooks called Darlene Pravat. I think he was one of about 80 other districts that were lined up calling that. It appears that Lexington 1 did not have permission to do that, and they had been told that they can't do that. So anyways, the making up a full day by extending a half day is not an option. The board's aware we were closed by the governor. You're also aware from the last time that happened, the governor can close us, but the governor can't forgive the days. Under the current statute, we have to make up the first 3 days that we're missed. Days 4 through 6 can be forgiven by a local school board. Days in excess of 6 but less than 10 can be forgiven by the state school board. 10 or more has to go to the General Assembly. All of our calendars have to have 3 days by law in there to make up. The board approved the calendar designating, and you've got the calendar, January 21st, February 18th, and March the 22nd as the makeup days. Our original plan when we talked about this was that we would make up the days on the makeup days. That seemed to be the most reasonable way to handle that. One of the issues that has come up is that January 21st is Martin Luther King Day. So my recommendation to you, and I'm going to give you a copy of this written recommendation, is that Martin Luther King Day being a holiday, to make up our time for first semester, we extend first semester from January the 11th to January the 16th. We're going to change the January 14th day, in-service day, to a regular school day. And then the 21st would be an in-service day. Children would be out if they wanted to have the holiday, and if a teacher wanted the holiday, they could take a personal day or a vacation day. September 11th would be made up on January 14th, September the 12th on February 18th, September 13th on March 22nd, and we would request the board to forgive September 14th, which is within your power. That would meet the statute if we have snow, sleet, whatever, for the remainder of the year. That covers us for the rest of the year. And it doesn't really do anything to change our calendar other than to allow kids to be off on Martin Luther King Day if they would like. But I'll give you a second too. I didn't pass that out beforehand because I know you do like kids. You read the handout and wouldn't listen. So. Yes, ma'am, and it seems as if we've had the strangest things. You know, I've never had fires and hurricanes and floods to contend with.
So if we had a bad snowstorm, we could potentially forgive
2 more days, and then after that, it would go to the state school board, and then if it got to be more than 9, it would go to Jones. Once we make up our first 3 days, Ms. Brown, we've made up all that's required of us by law. But by the same token, we have to make those up before any can be forgiven. So, most people should have realized this is our calendar, the board adopted it, that's our makeup day. The only change is, I would say, since we have a work day and a holiday a week apart, that gives children time to be home on a national holiday. And if we have employees who feel strongly about that one way or the other, they can take a personal day.
Dr. James,
Ma'am?
would you make us a new pretty calendar so we've got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Well, that's not exactly true.
We-
I'll have somebody make it. Or I'll take an ink pen and color it. You just said that because you knew I couldn't do it.
Dr. James.
Yes,
Don,
ma'am.
watch out, buddy.
I'll make a motion to accept the administration's recommendation to forgive September 14th and do the other makeups as stated. But I'd like the floor after it, if there's a second.
I'll second that.
And the only thing I'd like to say about that is, I don't want anybody to think that this board takes lightly forgiving even an hour of instructional time. I think it's important that we go on the record saying we're in school for every hour that we are, that our teachers, our administration, our staff takes every hour that we're teaching students to the utmost seriousness. That we're not trying to make light of this. We're not trying to say we don't think school days are important. However, I think based on the severity of what happened and what could have happened, I understand why decisions were made. That, for the record, the board did not make those decisions. We were told to do that. But I understand why it was made, that I'm making the motion, but I'm also wanting everyone to know that I know everybody on this board does not think that it's not important for kids to be in class every single minute of every single school day.
And Ms. Brown, I appreciate that. As a matter of fact, Dr. Brooks and I have talked about the fact that we have held off on a late start and an early release. We want to make sure that we get as much instructional time in as we can. However, we've been put in an unfortunate situation, and I'm not criticizing the governor's decision because we're right in the middle of the transportation corridor. But from a weather standpoint, it was a little bit disappointing, but from the fact that the need was bigger than we are. But we're doing some things in short blocks because the more instruction time we have, the better opportunity we have for good results. So I appreciate that concern.
Thank you, Dr. Jones. Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Next item is instruction, summer reading camp update. I'll turn that over to Dr. Quinn.
So speaking of excitement and learning, Madam Chair, Dr. James, members of the board, we're excited to share with you tonight some highlights of our Lexington 2 summer reading camp. With the theme being superheroes read, we say compel and enjoy. Excuse me, sorry.
tell me your name.
Xavier Wood,
And Xavier, where do you go to school during the school year?
Wood Elementary.
Wood Elementary. Now, you've been part of summer reading camp of the super readers this summer, right?
Yes, ma'am.
What's been your most favorite part about summer camp?
Summer camp is like the best thing. It feels like a home to me.
Oh,
With that being said, not only did it provide home, but to provide an encouragement and just an initiative to enable the families just to take this and embrace it. And so we were just excited about our summer reading camp this year. We'll be glad to entertain any questions. Any questions?
Did you get feedback from teachers from, say, previous years and current teachers to see how effective it was?
We did. Can you hold on just 1 second? Would you guys like to join me? Kathy? These are some of our leaders and movers and shakers. And so we've been very instrumental in making this a success. And so as far as some of the feedback,
So really, we grew this summer's reading camp as a result of feedback from last year. It was overwhelmingly positive from all that participated in it. And I think probably the volume that speaks loudest is the fact that the slides went kind of fast, but of the 169 students who participated, all of those students either maintained their entry levels or grew. So, the fact that we had teachers that were qualified in place to work with these fragile learners for just 6 weeks of time really shows the impact that something like this with focused instruction can make.
significant growth from last summer. And then also,
Summer slide, right?
right now, our current elementary schools are currently undergoing STAR administration, so we look forward to seeing how the results of those gains are correlated to our summer reading camp. So maybe next time we can give you an update.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you for your support. Thank you.
Okay. Next item is finance. And I'll turn it over to Ms. Rawls.
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. James, the first report you will see is our monthly revenue summary for the end of August. The numbers are trending very similarly as they have in past years. Yes, sir.
Tell what the other miscellaneous revenue is, that 148%.
That, I cannot tell you, I think, I know we got a refund from an expenditure from last year, so I think it was just classifying as a refund from an expenditure and not a revenue item, so that was just a different classification for it. I can check into it to verify.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Second report is our monthly expenditure analysis as of the end of August. Again, we are trending very similar to last year on that one. Any questions on that one? The next report is our referendum budget summary. As of the end of August, we had $77,242,883 still unspent and available in the budget. All right. The next group of reports you'll find in your binder are the pupil activity funds for all of our schools. This was requested by the board last month, and so these are being provided to you as information.
Thank you.
If you have questions on that, we can entertain them now, or you're welcome to contact me after the meeting.
All right. Posted, you might explain to them that that was a grant.
Yes, ma'am. If you look at the last report for Lexington Innovation Center, you'll see a credit or a negative amount in an expenditure column. Our health science teacher at the Innovation Center received a grant. We received a check ahead of time. It would be for him to travel to a conference, and so it is just sitting there in anticipation of his expenditures that will be incurred at that conference. It will be more than $1,200, so it will be offset against that check that he received.
Thank you.
All right, the next group of reports are our annual procurement report to the board. The first one is stating our sole source emergency and trade-in procurements. Our sole source procurements involve proprietary software maintenance contracts or our elevator contracts, just a variety of things of that nature, where it is best and in our best interest to contract with the provider. Emergencies, I think, very much were related to the fire and things that happened last minute that needed to be taken care of, and the trade-ins were related to iPads. And the final report is the minority business utilization report. If you have no questions, I appreciate your support.
Any questions? Thank you, Ms. Ron. No objection, the financial report will stand approved as submitted. All right, next we move to administration and student services. First,
Can I say something about the report?
Sure.
Tangentially. I want to thank you for everything you're doing for us, but I was very happy to see you at the meals that the school district did for the kids last Friday, and Dawn, I know, was there, and some other people in the room were there as well. And I just really have to thank Sodexo and those for volunteering their time to do that. Nobody had to do that, and that made me really proud that our district did that, and so many of our people were out doing that. And the kids and the families really seem to be enjoying that. So I just have to thank you, because that's like the above and beyond that we sometimes don't stop to thank you.
okay, so administration and student services. First item is enrollment update.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. In your packet, behind that tab, you'll see the tracking of our enrollment for the first 10 days of school. This is something our school district has done since I've been here. You see where we start at 7266, and by the end of 10 days, we're right there at that 8,600 that we need. And I can tell you from also being in student services, we are exceeding that number right now. In fact, we're starting to receive our first two families from the North Carolina coming down to live with families because their homes are gone and their schools are gone. So we'll see increased enrollments with that too. So what's not in here to know are the 3 and 4-year-olds in our schools. That's another 200-300 kids right there. 88, 8,900, which that's been the number we've had for 10 years when you add them all together.
Thank you.
From-
Yes.
From an instructional standpoint, and not really put, Frida and Dixon on the spot or anything, but do we feel like we're okay from a staffing standpoint? Because I've just been hearing spots here and there, and I know we're always going to have spots here and there, but from what I understand, I think there's some major concerns about some of these class sizes. So I have to ask, I don't put you on the spot, but maybe I'm just telling the board that. I know y'all hear it too. Do we have any, Dr. James, and maybe you can talk to this lady right here, but do we have an area that we might want to consider staffing?
Well, Dixon was about to answer. I think our biggest issue right now, Ms. Brenham, is middle school, and I think most folks are hearing that. We've talked about that. Mr. Hinton brought up something that could go just unnoticed on the surface. But we're going to be impacted. Like he said yesterday, about 5:30, we had a lady came into my office. She was being deployed this morning. but her daughter and her daughter's children, they're not real sure where their home is. They used to live in North Carolina. The physical house is somewhere in the Atlantic Ocean, I'm assuming, but we will get children coming into this district, and we've got a letter from the State Department today on the fact that we take these children and don't get all excited about records at this point in time, because for a lot of them, there aren't any records. I think as we start to see the impact of these storms, we're probably going to have to add some folks, is the reality now. We need them right now today. I think Dixon and Fredo are doing a good job of monitoring that, and the middle schools there's some of those classes are a little crowded, but.
Yeah, and if I can address, I met with middle school principals today. Sixth grade is the big concern in Fulmer and Northside specifically. Both of them, Mary Page and Megan, have done a phenomenal job, which I told them today, of being creative and moving some staff members around. As the board knows, that is never a pleasant thing to do. I have received some phone calls, they have received some phone calls, but they both said that adding teachers really doesn't help at this point in the year, quite honestly, especially with teacher shortages, but we certainly, I told them, will continue to look, and if we have an influx in sixth grade, we'll have to do something. But at this point, it is not ideal. It has impacted other grade levels, and we're aware of that, but we feel pretty good about it at this point.
If we get more children, or if it starts to change, the answer is yes, we're going to have some middle school folks.
I just know that a time not too long ago, I had 3 middle school boys under my roof, and 3 was a lot to handle. I can imagine 27 middle schoolers in a classroom, so.
It is not for the faint of heart. You have to look through it.
That's great.
And Frida, are you seeing are you alarmed about the 5th grade population too that are coming to these fairs next year?
There are pockets of growth, if you will. And so again, I know that we're looking flexibly at how to best address that. So there are some high numbers in different pockets, even in our elementary schools. So again, I think especially if some of these numbers kind of take us to that point, we will be looking at, addressing it financially as well as, hiring some more teachers. But we do have pockets in elementary school of high numbers, as Ms. Brown was talking about, especially some of our 5th grades.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right. Next is construction update, which we couldn't possibly have it, right?
You've actually heard most of them. You heard about the airport, planning to bring the security plan to you. Brooke and Casey, all that works on schedule, it's progressing nicely. Innovation Center, we're working toward partial occupancy, which you've already heard. Full middle school's on schedule, and we're right now working toward a July 2019 opening. You heard about Wood Elementary and Riverbank. We're working on punch list items. Slough River, we're working on punch list items. Springdale, we're behind on the exterior. Indicon has issued some pretty strong statements for that subcontractor. We're hoping that work picks up, and they're also working on punch list items out there. Access control, everywhere that we have it, I think, I've talked to several companies. They seem to be very happy with what we've done there. We've still got some punch list items we're working on with that as well. Digital signs, the installation of those, those that have them, I've been very appreciative. They're learning to use them and learning to use them well. We're starting to put some pictures up, and you put Teacher of the Year pictures up and things like that out there for all to see. That's pretty nice. The only thing that I would add that was not in your construction packet is that we've had one of our school districts that's close to us and near, has become near and dear to our heart, that is in need of furniture. And, you know, we've worked hard to try to not allow furniture to become something that slows us down, and we've tried to sell what we can sell. In this case, we've got a neighbor, Dick Wilson, that is in need of furniture. They come over and look, they tag things. Their teachers would be excited to get it. So we're hoping to be able to give that to them unless you tell us otherwise. That's kind of the direction we're going to go with some of that furniture that's in Pine View. We'll be in Taylor and some of these other places whenever that's it. So that's all I have, Madam Chair.
Thank you, sir.
Do you need a motion on that?
I don't think so.
No, it's within the scope of actually it's what the state had asked you to do. If one district has resources that they can't use or no longer use, and there's a district that can use it rather than sending it to surplus, salvage, or junking it. And we've got a small district that is in extremely need of the stuff that we aren't going to use. They'll think is new. So John's kind of worked out an agreement to help them a little bit if we can.
Thanks. All right. Next is Human Resources. We have the annual report to the board, and I'll turn that over to Dr. James.
Again, if you have really difficult questions, Dr. Cooper will be back Monday. I try to be honest. Each year, you get a report as to what has happened in the district in terms of hiring folks and degrees and that sort of thing. And if you look through this, our classroom teachers, guidance counselors, media specialists, psychologists, those kinds of folks, we have hired 127 of those folks this year. Out of that 127, 25 are male and 102 are female, and then you can see the minority breakdown of those. The total number of induction teachers out of that 127 is 50. So not quite half of those folks are new people. The average years of experience is 7.5 years. Majority of them have a bachelor's degree. 5 have a bachelor's in 18 hours. 41 with a master's degree, none with a doctorate. From the standpoint of administrators, we've hired 14 administrators. Now that's an actual statement, but in addition to that, there's some folks that are here that have been here all along. For instance, Mr. Hinton's in this group, Ms. Gunner's in this group, Ms. Bickley's in this group. So that's not 14 new people, that's 14 people all together. Our certified staff and administrative transfers, you can see the breakdown of that. Principal to principal, we didn't have any of that moving between schools. We did have a couple of our assistant principals were moved up to principals. We had 4 of our teachers that were in the district that we moved to assistant principals. An educational facilitator that went to an assistant principal, and then just a transfer of some assistant principals. So we're getting some good use of the folks that are in the district, in my opinion. We're moving our assistants up, we're moving our teachers up. Support staff, that would be anybody that's not in a certified role. 77 new people, 20 of them are male, 57 of them are female. Minority 31, Caucasian 46. Total new hires, all that together, is 214 folks. If you look on the second page, you see the certified staff that left employment with the district and the reasoning. Some going to other districts, private schools, virtual schools, charter schools, or a higher education institution. The B2s, which is 28 of them, are personal reasons. Their spouse was transferred, they married, family responsibilities, a change of career, going to graduate school. The B3s are retirement, and then B4s are non-renewal, so were terminated by us. So that's only 12, but the total number of people impacted within the 2017-2018 school year was 135, and like I told you, we've offset that with 127, I think it is, off the front page. Administrators and other professional staff, total number hired, or total number that we had to leave the district is 22. That's for various and sundry reasons. You can see there they accepted a position in a different district. They moved into a principalship. They started to pursue some other degree, or they retired. That's 22 people altogether. And then on the last page is the certified people leaving employment within the district. And you can see the breakdown there. There is a total of 135, ranging from everything to accepting a position in another district to, thank goodness we didn't have any in the deceased column. So you can see how that breaks down. And then for administrators and professional staff, 10 retired, 8 took a position either with the State Department of Education or in another district. 3 left for personal reasons, and 1 person was terminated, for a total of 22 people. Again, if you've got questions regarding that, most of them I probably can answer. What I can't, I will find you an answer, but if you don't have questions, that'll stand as our report to the board for annual staffing.
Thank you, Dr. James. Any questions? Okay.
I don't know why anyone thinks that's hard to answer.
Next item on the agenda is executive session, and I'll entertain a motion by Ms. Kessler.
Madam Chairman, I make a motion that the Board of Trustees enter into closed session for the following: the consideration of personnel appointments and resignations, the discussion of contractual matters, the considerations of property matters, the consideration of requests for out-of-district tuition waiver for 2 students, high school students, for the discussion of out-of-district tuition, for the discussion of the proposed volunteer agreement. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I have a motion. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Giles. All in favor say aye. Aye. We are now in executive session.